Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the community's concerns surrounding base building. And so I kind of went on Reddit and I actually found this document here that breaks everything down. I didn't create this document, someone else on Reddit did, and I will leave a link in the video description if you guys want to check it out yourself. All right, so first off, right off the bat, I want to kind of talk a little bit about this conversation between um, uh, land claims being square and land claims being round. And this discussion primarily stems from this image right here, okay? So if I kind of zoom in on this image, and don't worry, we'll get to the other things in a minute, but you can see here that there is a player character standing in the middle of a circle, okay? And there's some information on the screen here. It's, might be kind of hard to see in this video, but basically the information on the side here says Pyro 3, lost status hostile, resource profitability, and it shows 3 different resources that are on this land. And then it says either 2.2 kilometers or 22 kilometers. I am assuming that this says 2.2 kilometers, which will make more sense in a minute. But as you can see off in the distance here, or it might be kind of hard for you guys to see. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit better. It says build perimeter, okay? So this says here land claim, started up, property size, ownership. So what are we looking at here? This is this a land claim, this circular area? Well, I have a couple of theories about what this image is actually depicting that will kind of clear up that conversation. Because one of the primary things that CIG has said about land claims is that they will be purchasable with in-game money. Another thing that CIG has said about land claims is that they will be 4x4 and 8x8. Typically, when you describe something as being 4x4, 8x8, so something is squared. Now, if the land claim was circular, they would use language like the diameter of the land claim would be 4 kilometers, or the diameter of the land claim would be 8 kilometers. Okay, so if the land claims are square, and this is saying that the build perimeter is circular, what does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit. Okay, so it's showing you what's kind of going on here. Okay, you launch the drone that's built into the machine. This is talking about, I'm assuming, how you're constructing. Allows players to access base building and land claim mode. Can change the size, position, and area they want to claim. Will show taxes and costs associated with it. When you own the land, it goes into base building mode, okay, which is interesting. This is something that we're going to talk a little bit, more in a second. Can place down buildings where you want. You can see the resources. You can place multiple buildings and all that good stuff, linking power generators and consumers and whatnot, okay? But this part right here that is most interesting, when you own the land, it goes into base building mode, because we're going to learn something a little bit more about that over here in this section, okay? High sec, low sec, and null sec, okay? In high sec, there's a land claim. You must purchase land. It has full protection. It's invulnerable. Security will show up to protect it. It has high taxes. If you don't pay taxes, it will become derelict over time. High cost, low financial return. Okay, we know this. Low sec, land claim. Okay, owned by independent corporation, gang, or faction. Okay, you don't have access to the best planetary resources. Partial protection, NPCs will show up if you're attacked. Okay, protection escalates over time. You can build defenses to mitigate. Some taxes and fees, medium cost, medium financial return. But here's the kicker: null sec, no land claim. Okay, you don't own the land. Okay, so this 4x4 and 8x8 land claim, you don't have to buy that. Essentially, because you're nullsec, this doesn't apply in nullsec. So this will just go into base building mode in nullsec. But of course, the machine will know that you don't own this land. It won't start constructing in that area yet. So if you have base building equipment, if you have that module or whatever, it won't get activated on land you don't own in high and low sec star systems. But in null sec star systems, like this example shows us here, okay, this character is in a null sec zone. They are in on Pyro 3. Okay, so you don't have to own this land. So this player, where it says build perimeter, this player is not on a land claim. This player is just building out into the open. Okay, but let's keep going. Okay, partial protection, air NPCs will show up as if attacked. Okay, you can build defenses to mitigate. Shields, anti-air, players can disable your shields by getting close and destroying them. No cost, high financial return. Okay, so a lot to unpack there. So we go back to this image again and see what it's depicting. Okay, so this is not a land claim. We've just established that. Nullsec has no land claims. You do not need to purchase a land claim. This image is showing the player on Pyro 3. This is a nullsec zone. So where it says build perimeter, this is not a land claim. This is where the player can build. Okay, so why would the build site be round if land claims are square? Okay, so some people kind of theorize this already, but one theory is that there might be some type of easement that needs to be allowed between a land claim and how you build. But of course, in nullsec, you will just see the build perimeter. You won't see the boundary of your land claim. So again, it makes sense why it's round, but there's another image that I think kind of lends more information to that. Okay, so we have building types and all that here, but I think the most interesting image is over here. Okay, so this image here is depicting a building. You can see the building in the background here and this large shield. Okay, and the distance from this building to the edge of the shield, as you could see with this image here, it's very similar. Okay, so one might assume that what this is actually showing you is your shielded area. Okay, so it says build perimeter because all of this area over here will be inside of your shields. It doesn't make sense to build outside your shields. So essentially what happens is that you launch the drone, it goes into building mode, and it shows you all of the information that you need to know about building at this location, including the perimeter of where your shields will end up. Okay, so if you have a land claim in high sec and low sec, what will happen is you're still going to own the land outside of your shields, obviously, but that's where you're going to probably put your gun turrets. Okay, so you imagine a square piece of land with a circle in the middle of it. You can put your defensive gun turrets on each corner of that land outside of your shields. Okay, and then you can have your hab or your base under the shields in the middle here. Okay, so the next question is, the security of building. And it makes sense And here's why I think this theory kind of makes sense too. It's because typically when you're building on a property, you have power hookups, and you have to go and do all the paperwork so you can have temporary power brought to the property. That way you can power tools and anything you need to actually build the home. So what I think you're probably going to need to do is put up windmills or solar panels or geothermal, and put up your shields before you actually start building any structure. Okay. So a lot of people were worried. They were thinking, hey, what if I'm trying to build in nullsec and some players attack me? Well, you're going to want to put up your shields first. You're going to want to put up your defensive gun turrets first before you start building the house or anything like that. That way, if somebody attacks you, this area is completely shielded, and you can kind of, build in relative, that your area is kind of protected. Again, okay, I don't know how powerful shields for bases will be, but based on this image, and we'll go back here again real quick. This is a very large shield. Okay, if you think of it in terms of a capital ship or something, but you look at this image, if it has the diameter of your shielded area as 2.2 kilometers, that's larger than a capital ship. So more than likely, this is going to be a very powerful shield. Okay, because the way shields work is that they kind of scale in size. So the larger the shield area, the more powerful the shield needs to be to have this larger area. So more than likely, the shields surrounding a player base are going to be either equivalent to capital shields on a capital ship or more powerful. Okay, because again, you have to think of the shield bubble that this thing is creating. It has to create a powerful shield, or it has to create a large shield, so it's going to need to be a very powerful shield. So if a light fighter shows up to try to give you trouble, they're not going to be able to get through that. I feel like even in null sec, okay, you don't own the land here, but you have means of protecting yourself. You have turrets, you have shields, and you'll be able to lock the doors. Okay, so we saw in Pyro that there were some doors that were locked and that you would have to hack them. Okay, so so let's kind of just run through the scenario. In nullsec, again, we're not talking about high security where your base is invulnerable, or low sec where you're getting reinforcements. We're talking about nullsec. You're not getting any reinforcements. This place is not invulnerable. Okay. So the process of that is, in pirates or whatever, they would have to deal with the gun turrets. They'll have to take down your shields. They'll have to hack the doors, and then they'll have to hack the storage containers, because we're also getting lockable storage containers. So more likely going to put your inventory in a lockable storage container that they'll have to hack, and then you take that and you put it in a locked storage unit that has to be hacked, and then all of that is under your shields that has to be taken down, which are probably like capital shields, and then the gun turrets, the automated gun turrets that they're gonna have to deal with as well. Not to mention you as the owner of the base defending it. So it is not going to be straightforward for a handful of players to just stroll in and take over your base. This is going to have to be a calculated effort between orgs, okay? It's not going to be a walk in the park, even in null sec. In high sec, on top of having shields, on top of having turrets, on top of having reinforcements, on top of having locked storage facility and locked boxes, you're invulnerable. So attacking a high security base just doesn't even make sense. Now, attacking a low security base, again, you're going to have the same defensive features as nullsec, but in this scenario, you have reinforcements. So, uh, the gang or faction that owns the land that you bought from, they're going to come and protect you. Okay. So, you have a little bit of taxes, but I think if you break it down, each kind of star system is going to have a type of base in these locations. Okay, so you're more than likely not going to be competing with orgs on a planet like Microtech. So let's talk about that for a second here. I know a lot of people in my last video kind of, posed the question, hey, if you can buy land, orgs are just going to buy all the best land in the game and that's going to be it. And I said, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. These planets are massive. If an org wanted to buy a whole planet, that'd be millions of dollars. So the next question is the resources, okay? You have a high cost of ownership and a low financial return. So if you're an org, what is the best land for you to be able to like get the value out of that? Okay. Now, obviously, if you're Joe Smo, you want to build a cabin in the woods. HighSec makes sense. Okay, because you're playing the game, making money, trading, hauling, mining, doing that type of stuff, and you take your profits and you pay your taxes. And the gameplay loop there is you have a place, a hideout, a place to get away from, the busy city life or whatever, and that makes sense. Now in low sec, it it kind of makes sense. That would be Stanton, so on Microtech or whatnot. And for an org, that is a good opportunity to be able to make a little bit of money. But in my personal opinion, I think they might employ a system that kind of spreads out this tax a little bit better. So stay with me here for a second. I think it is possible that we may get a system where planets like Microtech and Houston have higher tax rates than moons. You might have a, a moon like Daymar that has lower taxes because it doesn't have a breathable atmosphere and it has kind of more of a harsher environment, but it may be richer in resources. So in that scenario, it makes a lot of sense for an org to build their base on Daemon rather than building their base on the banks of some river on Microtech. Because on Microtech, you have less resources for your org's factories and you have higher taxes. But on Daemon, you have more resources and probably lower taxes. You'll probably get a situation where orgs kind of gravitate to the moons of a low sec area or null sec, and you have, more scenic, less resource valuable places kind of attract, smaller groups of players, like, someone who maybe wants to build a house in the woods or something like that. So I don't think, personally, I don't think that players who want to build their cabin in the woods, I don't think they're really going to be competing with orgs for land because the orgs are more than likely going to gravitate towards those resource-rich land areas in nullsec and lowsec. Again, you're not going to go to Pyro 3 and build a cabin just for yourself. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a safe system. And on top of that, you don't have that invulnerability. So in those locations, I think you're going to see, player refineries, player hospitals, things like that, that make a lot of sense for orgs in nullsec. But again, you're going to have the ability to protect it. Now, kind of similar to that is the way that CAG showed this, and I'll kind of go over here for a second to take a look at the building types. These things are not going to be automated, okay? It says here, nothing is fully automated. Some player engagement is needed, okay? Might need to offload full containers, repairing maintenance equipment, so on. Upgrade paths for making gatherers more resilient, okay? So these are very interesting facts kind of shared about this. So more than likely, you're not going to build your base on um a planet in nullsec and just kind of leave it to gather resources like in most games. In Star Citizen, you build this base, and as you're running it, okay, you're going to be there engaged with that gameplay. You're going to be operating this machine, operating this drill. So when you're not operating it, you'll more than likely be able to turn it off or lock it down. So if you're not at your base in nullsec, attacking player will have to get through the gun turrets, take down your shields, and more than likely hack these drills to get them up and running so they can gather this resources off. They're more than likely not just going to be able to walk up to this machine and start pulling out resources at your base. Okay? So because you built this drill, you're the owner of this drill. You don't own the land, but you own the drill. So more than likely you'll be able to lock it up after you're done. Again, that kind of makes sense. Equipment in the real world, somebody leaves their trailer in a parking lot, they lock it up. So no one can just back their truck up to the trailer and drive away with it. So more than likely, you place this drill in nullsec, you lock it up, and if somebody wants to access this drill, they're gonna have to get through your turrets, get through your shields, hack this thing, stay here, operate the drill, and try to get resources out. It's gonna be an entire mission just to do that. So, and when you're there, you just walk in, turn the drill on, start excavating whatever resource you want, take your boxes, fly away. So the next thing I think is kind of the big thing with that is this: when does the war end question. I think that's kind of the next question that a lot of people ask about this is, okay, you're an org and you're battling with another org. So a lot of times what people will do is, they might have a medical bed in the base, and they'll just keep respawning in the medical bed, and the concern is that the fight will just go on forever. The attacking org has a medical bed on their ship, and they keep respawning in that, and you have a medical bed in your base and you keep respawning in that, and the question is, when is the fight over? Because well, that's not going to be the case in the future. Obviously, constant respawning is a temporary thing right now in the game. In the future, when the game goes to beta or whatever, you'll have limited lives. You're not going to be able to regenerate infinitely. Okay? So, more than likely, let's say you have 5 lives and they have 5 lives. You regenerate in the bed the first 5 times you get killed. Okay? But after that, there might be a system where you have to where you won't regenerate in that bed anymore because you're not the same person. You're a new character. Okay? So you'll more than likely respawn in a major hospital. Okay? Because the way that might work is that you might have, let's say, an insurance policy to extend how many lives you have. So the typically limited to 3 to 5, or again, let's just say we're totally speculating here. Let's just say it's limited between 3 to 5 lives. That you respawn at your base, but after that you have to use your insurance policy, and because of that you have to use one of the doctors or one of the hospitals in your insurance plan's network. Like right now you have insurance in real life, right? Through your work or your business, or I don't know how the Medicare system or the medical system in other countries work, but here in America, we a lot of us have insurance through our work, and these insurance policies have networks. They have doctor's office networks, or hospital networks, places where you pay less at. So it might be a system like that where you see the Olympus insurance terminals at major hospitals, okay? But you're not going to have, your medical bed is not going to be in the doctor network for your insurance plan, because it's just kind of like an at-home treatment type thing. So you're going to have to respawn at a major hospital. And at that point, you might have to pay to respawn. Maybe respawn's like 100 UEC. And so now you gotta weigh, is it cost effective to keep the fight up? You can't respawn in your base anymore. You've now respawned in a major hospital, and it's gonna cost you. So you could say, okay, I lost. I respawned away from my base, and now I have to pay to respawn again. So I can just log out for the day, or do something else, go somewhere else, or I can pay my insurance fee and fly back to my base with some more friends, with some new ships, and try to retake it. Okay? But at that point, the attackers are in your base, they're drawing a little bit of resources. Maybe they got what they wanted and they're gone. It breaks up the flow of the battle. So you're not just respawning in the bed. And again, similarly, they're going to have to hack these terminals to get access to it. So the question then becomes, who owns it now? I saw Ray's guide video. It was a really good video, very interesting. He covered on a lot of points. I'll leave that link in the video description as well if you guys want to go check that out. And I think that that's a good question. But I also think it's kind of answered here. Okay, so in high and low sec, you own the land. So the ownership of that base doesn't get transferred. If another org attacks your base in high or low sec, they don't get the base. It's your base, essentially. They can attack the base, they can hack the terminals, they can steal whatever resources from the base that they want, but after they leave, they're going to have to do that all over again. You, on the other hand, you can respawn in the medical beds, you can come and go as you please. You don't have to worry about the gun turrets. You can fly right past them, you can walk right in your shields, you can open up all your doors, everything is unlocked for you. But they're going to have to break in every time that they want to access the base, because they don't own the land, they don't own the structures. Okay, with nullsec, it's kind of a little bit of a different scenario that we don't quite know about. If you get attacked now, I think, and this is just my theory, that in nullsec, because you don't own the land, once another player hacks the terminal, that hacking, or it persists. Okay, so now you have to hack it if you want that base back. So kind of the way I see it is, you build this base, you have gun turrets, you have shields, you have locked doors, and you own all of that. If another org attacks you, they have to destroy the gun turrets, they have to take down the shields, they have to hack the doors. But once they hack it, they can hack it to take it over. So now the doors are locked for you. Now the shields, you have to shoot them down. Now the gun turrets are controlled by them. So I really see it as hacking will be very important gameplay for taking over a base. Again, in high sec and low sec, you own it. The ownership of it can't get transferred to someone else. So in low sec, a system like Stanton, building a base could be very lucrative for an organization because it has medium financial return and kind of some of that low taxes. Again, it's owned by an independent corporation, Microtech, Hurston, that type of thing. You buy it from them, they will send security to protect you. You own the land. In Pyro, you don't own the land. No one will come to help you, and that it has a lot of good resources on land that could make a lot of money. But at the end of the day, if another player org attacks you, they can take control of this location by hacking it. Okay, so that's kind of what I think that gameplay might kind of look like. So I think you're gonna have to think about and look at some of those things, but it's gonna make it very interesting. I think that this is a really interesting conversation. Again, I will link this document so you guys can take a look at it yourself. It also talks about crafting and the construction vehicles that will be available here. Tools of the trade, that type of thing, and what you can craft. But this has already been a super long video because I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. I've made several videos on the topic now. Yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think about this? Again, this is just all wild speculation. I think a lot of the questions that the community has brought up is very interesting, and there's a lot of cool talking points that we can have over the next couple of weeks until CIG officially let us know what this stuff is going to be like. But that's just my thoughts on the situation. I would love to hear what you guys think. Thanks for hanging out with me. You guys have been supporting the videos like crazy, and I appreciate it like crazy. But like I always say at the end of these videos, you guys like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.